So if I'm understanding your question there, or your assertion that we're talking about three potential analysis of DNA that was not provided to you, but that has no connection to Mr. Colbert.
Correct.
Any response?
Your Honor, we didn't realize this was going to be an issue today. We had given the defense everything that we received from the lab. They'd asked for DNA workups on other people. To the extent that they don't have them, they weren't done. We can't produce something that doesn't exist. We provided everything. There's one outstanding lab report that relates to the forensic examination by the lab personnel of the crime scene itself. Will be received today. That's the only outstanding lab report. Everything else, along with all the notes, is what there is, and it's been provided to the defense. And if they're hoping that there's something else there, it's not there.
Ms. Taylor?
Well, Your Honor, it's part of our third motion to compel. It's still something that we don't have. We also don't have the unexpected corrective actions, unexpected results from the Idaho State Police Forensics Lab for the 6 months before and the 6 months after November 13th, 2022. We did get some, but it's a narrow scope, and we asked for the full year, 6 months before and 6 months after. That's also in our motion.
Sure. I understand your responsibility is to turn over every rock, but you can't get things that don't exist. But you can't get things that don't exist as well. So, I mean, there has to be some level of trust in discovery. You're all sworn attorneys. And so Mr. Thompson is saying that there's one more lab report that is coming your way today, I heard him say.
Maybe not today. We were waiting to receive it so that we can process it for discovery. It's supposed to be in any time.
Okay, I misunderstood that. So it's coming soon. It has to come soon because we're 6 weeks away from the trial. So we're going to be very rushed about a lot of things. But I'm going to talk about that a little more later too. So what about the other claim, Mr. Thompson? Do you want to address that? The other mistakes?
Corrective action log, unexpected result log. We have that in part, but not the full scope.
I don't know what exists that we haven't received. We provided all the requests to the lab, and they've assured us that they have provided us with everything that they have within the scope of those requests. I'm not sure what else to say. I mean, we can make a supplemental inquiry to clarify that after we finish in court today. But I'm kind of sitting here saying, Judge was giving me everything we know to exist.
Well, that would be wise to check on that.
We will.
Because we don't want this to come back on the eve of trial.
Yes, sir.
Or, 4 years from now at an appeal.
Yes, sir.
So we want to make sure that we have combed through all the information that has any bearing or argument of bearing on this case. That's how I'm.
Ms. Jennings is making a note right now. We'll send the inquiry out later today.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, just for some clarification, we also ask for all emails, text messages, electronic messages, or other messages. Some have been provided, but we don't have assurance that that's all. And so for the same reason, we want to make sure that we have the complete file.
Okay, Mr. Thompson.
We have told them, we have given them everything that we know to exist. We've asked the lab provided it to us, we sent it to them. At this point, all I'm hearing is speculation, is they think maybe or they wish something else was there. But as far as we know, it doesn't exist. I don't know what else we can say. You can't respond to something that isn't real. We have told them, we have given them everything that we know to exist. We've asked the lab provided it to us, we sent it to them. At this point, all I'm hearing is speculation, is they think maybe or they wish something else was there. But as far as we know, it doesn't exist. I don't know what else we can say. You can't respond to something that isn't real. Sorry, Judge.
I mean, we're just sorting it out.
Yes, sir.
Making sure that everything that there is shared. Except for the ones that you don't want to have
Absolutely.
shared.
Yes, sir.
And that's one of the reasons we're here.
We'll make an additional inquiry to the lab to see if there's anything else in the form of emails that they haven't already provided to us.
I would add, I mean, there are times, okay, in the world of the law, that sometimes people forget to do things, or sometimes things fall through the cracks, and so it's always healthy to make sure that it is done thoroughly.
Absolutely. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
You're now ready to call Steve Mercer.
Okay. Just one moment. Are your experts in the courtroom right now?
Don't get caught up in thinking 7 minutes don't matter here. We're talking about ground that can be covered in a vehicle in a short time. We're talking about two towns that are fairly close together. And so the way a car points when they go off the network matters a whole lot.
Can also be a bad thing. The public has more than complied with a request from the police for possible leads, and so far more than 700 tips have come in. Police are also getting a lot of video submissions uploaded on the online portal that they set up. Crime sourcing is a thing, and sometimes the online community is very, very good at triangulating evidence and noticing clues. For the latest on that, I welcome back to the show Lauren Matthias. She is the host of the Hidden True Crime podcast. Lauren, the 21-year-old victim named Ethan Chapin was buried yesterday, and the mother of a friend of Ethan's has been sharing information about her son's last conversations with Ethan. What is the latest on that, and what is she saying?
Yes, her name is Amy, and she has shared some information that is compelling and also concerning, at least to me. I'll say that she says that her son received a text from Ethan that night at around 2 a.m., she states, and that according to her son says that he is pretty confident Ethan was still at the Sigma Chi house at that time. Well, police have Ethan arriving back at the house where the murders took place at about 1:45. But according to this woman, her son is saying no, he was not home at 2 a.m. So they did call police, they said. She said, left a tip, and the police have not yet returned her call. That's the concerning part to me is I hope that police, you would think that someone that had actually talked to one of the victims that night would be the first that they would return a call to,
Not only that, the police have the right to subpoena phone records, and they can get actual triangulation of where that text came from at that moment. They can know exactly where Ethan's phone, not Ethan, but Ethan's phone. But if it seemed as though that was definitely Ethan doing the texting, they could place him exactly at that hour. So that is very, very curious. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is that a lot of the online sleuths have brought up a crime from a year ago, and it is shocking how similar the crime was, and it wasn't that far away. I think it was in Oregon, but walk me through what the details were and where this crime took place.
Yes, this crime took place in Marion County, Oregon. It's about 400 miles from Moscow. Now, this crime took place just last year, August. Unknown intruder came in with a large knife and he stabbed both residents of the house. He killed the husband. They were both in their early 20s. The wife, she was 24 years old. She was stabbed 19 times and somehow miraculously survived this ordeal. But to this date, they still do not know who this person is, and they have never even named a suspect. Just like this case, they have requested the public's help in Marion County, in Oregon. They have requested leads. They have still, to this date, never named a suspect again. And also, both of these crimes happened at early morning hours at about 3 a.m. So again, true crime sleuths are really hanging on to this, especially those that are wondering if it could be random. I know the police say targeted, but those that are speculating on that are wondering, could this be a repeat crime?
And curious about the knife that was used. They would have, information about the knife that was used in Jamie Lynn and Trevor's stabbing. And tonight they're, walking back the Rambo-style military knife description and instead just going with officially fixed blade knife. I've seen a million knives in my life, and many of them are fixed blade knives. It doesn't give you a big description.
Don't get caught up in thinking 7 minutes don't matter here. We're talking about ground that can be covered in a vehicle in a short time. We're talking about two towns that are fairly close together. And so the way a car points when they go off the network matters a whole lot.
You've pulled video seeing the Uber driver dropping them off.
Yes.
You've checked your phone records. You know
Yes.
timestamps what
Yes.
time they got home.
Yeah.
It's not exactly what police are saying, right?
Right. It's not 145.
Don't get caught up in thinking 7 minutes don't matter here. We're talking about ground that can be covered in a vehicle in a short time. We're talking about two towns that are fairly close together. And so the way a car points when they go off the network matters a whole lot.
Kaylee and Maddie were picked up from their home at 1122 King around 10:15. It's about a 5-minute drive down. So they arrived at Corner Club around 10:20, which is different than what was released at 10.
Don't get caught up in thinking 7 minutes don't matter here. We're talking about ground that can be covered in a vehicle in a short time. We're talking about two towns that are fairly close together. And so the way a car points when they go off the network matters a whole lot.
We know that Kaylee called for an Uber at 1:45. He arrived at 1:49, got in the car around 1:50. It's about a 5-6 minute drive. They arrived home at 1:56. So she was on my mom's cell plan. So
We pulled my cell phone.
on Sunday, I was able to pull those cell records.
And you could see that she was calling somebody out.
No. The last call is shortly before 3 a.m.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. 250 something.
2:52. For both of them.
Yeah.
but weighing that not just against, of course, his rights, but also against the needs of security in this case. I do expect, as it probably will come to no surprise to you, for you all to get along. I understand the stakes in this case are as high as they can possibly be in any case, but you are professionals. You have taken oaths, both as of officers within your jurisdictions, but also as attorneys before this bar. So I expect at all times for you to remain civil to one another, that you not engage in personal attacks, ad hominem attacks, that you not engage in theatrics, not misstate the facts or the law to the court, and that when you cite arguments in your briefs, if there is contradictory precedent, I expect to see that. I appreciate in advance what should go without saying that I've just said in terms of your responsibilities, but again, I just want to highlight that because I understand when the stakes are high, sometimes victory seems to be the objective when our first objective is to conform to the oaths that we've taken as members of the bar, as officers of this court. All right. I do have some matters with respect to that I want to go over today, but before I do that,
The second issue defendant, the second kind of bucket that they take issue with DM, is about these other just statements that she gives during her interviews. The defendant argues when an eyewitness states she's not sure anything she saw was real, a magistrate should know about it. Well, the simple answer is investigators knew what she saw was real, and we know it wasn't a dream because they found the evidence discovered the next morning. The defendant argues when an eyewitness states she's not sure anything she saw was real, a magistrate should know about it. Well, the simple answer is investigators knew what she saw was real. And we know it wasn't a dream because they found the evidence discovered the next morning. And we know it wasn't a dream because they found the evidence discovered the next morning. Those statements didn't need to be included in the PC affidavit because they weren't exculpatory. They didn't support this idea that this didn't really happen, that somehow we got it wrong. Next, defendant attacks the vehicle identification. Well, this picture they're painting about how this happened just is simply not true. The magistrate was given a very detailed picture of the investigation. at the time related to the white sedan, which was later determined to be a Hyundai Elantra. This was about 5 pages of the probable cause affidavit. The reality is, yeah, still images and video were provided to a vehicle specialist. Based on his review, he provided information to investigators that the suspect vehicle was likely a Hyundai Elantra. There was some discussion regarding what was the most appropriate year range, but at the specialist direction, he said that the year range to be focused on was 2011 to 2016. So Detective Payne reasonably relied on his expertise as a vehicle specialist and included that in his probable cause affidavit. And the court has in front of it the emails attached as exhibits that show that's exactly what occurred. And the defendant appears to argue that, well, the vehicle specialist shouldn't have relied on this video because they can't tell that that was a Hyundai Elantra. To them, it doesn't look like, I guess, a Hyundai Elantra. And the video that is clear, well, they take issue with that video because, and specifically, we're talking about 1125 Ridge Road, because they say, well, that can't be surveillance video of the white Elantra, even though it was caught on video about 0.3 miles from the crime scene, about 3 minutes right before when we see the suspect vehicle enter the area of the crime scene, which 0.3 and 3 minutes appear to be the amount of time it would take the vehicle to travel to the area of the crime scene. They say, well, that can't be the right video because if it were, then the surveillance right up the street would have also caught this video. But we know that's not true. And that's been submitted to this court. Excuse me?
When was it submitted to this court?
Well, it was submitted through my response.
I was afraid that you were going to say.
It was submitted through my response that their logic is flawed. And I can tell you, it has since been confirmed. I do not have, and it has been discovered to defense. We had Special Agent Hill confirm, and he discovered this as Bates 15990, which confirms that the surveillance camera that was set up to capture motion would not have captured the corner the defendant says must have been necessarily captured. Again, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the defendant's speculation about the route of travel and their differing opinion on it isn't the basis for a Franks hearing. There's no legal basis for second guessing a vehicle specialist's opinion. And they haven't made a substantial or a sufficient proffer for you to do that. Next, the briefing addresses the IgG issue.
Is it possible to tell from the affidavit what shots and what cameras were relied upon to make the identification?
I know that I don't know that you needed to. I don't know that all of that information had to be included.
That wasn't my question. My question is whether the affidavit describes the specific shots and cameras relied upon to make the identification.
No. It discusses that several surveillance videos were reviewed, that images were turned over to a vehicle specialist, and then that specialist made a determination. But no, we didn't walk through describing each and every still image or video to the magistrate. Well, nor did we need to. Really, the IGG has been discussed extensively. I think the only real Frank's issue is, should the IGG process tailor? At the end of the day, this information regarding IGG and the use of IGG is only inculpatory. And the non-reliance on the IGG information does not diminish probable cause. And the IGG information was confirmed through the STR testing. I can't wrap my head around any argument that IGG and STR testing would be exculpatory. Defendant makes kind of hay about the dog barking. And that I guess the magistrate should have been informed that a dog barked for 25 to 30 minutes. And this is just a reach for me. I'm still unclear how this is exculpatory. And again, this fact just does not diminish. Take all information related to the dog. It doesn't diminish probable cause.
Don't get caught up in thinking 7 minutes don't matter here. We're talking about ground that can be covered in a vehicle in a short time. We're talking about two towns that are fairly close together. And so the way a car points when they go off the network matters a whole lot.
The thing about bridges is that every one of them is an invitation to people on the other side to come over and play. Some of those people might hate you. Some might just be simple or scared or naive. Some are enemies or trolls or federal agents who are best left under the bridge. Those are the ones who will try to steer and poison whatever you're doing if you let them come across. Every bridge could make you stronger, or it could destroy everything you want to defend and protect. I burned it all, but bridges, nothing burns quite like a bridge does. Happy November. Whatever you do this month, don't feed the trolls or the feds. Don't let them feed you. Don't take the bait. Don't play with fire, but burn whatever bridges you need to burn. Oh, and thanks for being my neighbor. You can cross my bridge anytime you want. Unless you're a fed.